providing such a beautiful, amazing earth realm for us to learn and grow. Please guide and protect us as we journey down the path of discovery and enlightenment to become who we are meant to be in your fullest expression. In the name of all that is most holy, Amen. I'd like to start by giving my sincere appreciation to Rex and Shannon for having the vision and the perseverance to pull this all out. It's amazing. And with all these kindred souls, you can't see the 4,000 classes, so, we need to do it. Oh yeah, so it's so great to be here at this important moment of time, at the dawning of a new age of humanity after all these years that we've been in our spiritual slumber. And as we discovered, it's not always a cakewalk. How's everyone's last few years been? Or then? Yes, I know mine have been some of the roughest patches in my considerably lengthy life. But Shannon says it's because Pluto's in my anus or something like that. I have that wrong, but I should ask her. In case you're wondering, I am not an astrologer. According to my chart, I live primarily in the deep unconscious. I have a Taurus sun, Aries rising, Moon in Cancer, also Moon in Jupiter, and Pluto in Cancer at the bottom of the chart. So I'm just like very bottom heavy. And that's where I put my avatar on sometimes to come out and play in this room. Yeah, and hang out there mostly. I am a seer and an energy healer, trained to perceive invisible realms and of the energy realms, spirit and mind. I studied everything I could to get my hands on, that I could get my hands on, that explained how energy and consciousness works. Plus, I prayed a lot, and I opened a school, as she mentioned, to help other people learn how to access their own transformational powers and expand their spiritual vision. So, we are a species with amnesia. We have forgotten who we are and just what we're actually capable of. Humanity exists in two separate states of consciousness mainly. Our ordinary mind, which we use to interface with the world and necessary, and then our higher mind, which connects us to the infinite, the eternal, and the divine realms. And the higher mind known as different things to different people, the higher self, spirit, the God within, the self, many other things. What spiritual development is when we recognize and manifest spirit within our minds, our hearts, and our lives. And we learn to experience the unified essence beyond the illusion of separation that happens in this world. The process of spiritual development is learning how to identify less with our lower mind and all its conditioned attitudes, beliefs, unresolved traumas, habits, and become more attuned to and operating from our higher self. This is more easily said than done because it requires we let go of our preconceived notions about ourselves and others and let go of our resentments and pain and selfish personal desires. And so we can learn to think and feel and act from a place of unconditional love in all our experiences and relationships. But the lower mind that operates from a place of competition and survival and generally believes it's fully in charge can be very threatened by this experience, which I think is what that concept of triggering is about. The ego. Our ego is so much more fragile than we realize. So information comes in from the spiritual realms through stillness and silence. So being able to meditate and be mindful is really the most important thing to do, to acquire that skill for your own spiritual development. Dancing is fun too, and drumming, but yeah, stillness is very important. And when we do practice that more, our physical senses begin to open and transform so that they can perceive these invisible layers of spirit, and starting with our own shadow self and energetics between people and all those invisible realms. So this is a process of ensoulment, which is what Ray and other people have been talking about. It's about bringing spirit down into matter through the matter of our own bodies, the elements in us. And that's what automatically, because we resonate with the earth's elements, that's what shifts the earth as we shift our own body minds and bring the spirit in. And eventually, this leads to a dimensional shift, and I think this is what Ascension really is supposed to be about, where we have, we start to constantly perceive what is there on those invisible realms, and in perceiving it, or in experiencing it, we're actually generating that new world that we are here to do. So that experience is called gnosis. It's the direct knowing of the divine. Most religion offers different kinds of theories about what spirituality is and how things work, but often they don't give us good guidance in direct knowing. With the discovery of the Gnostic texts in the early 1900s, which had been hidden away in the Middle East for thousands of years, 2,000 years, humanity's been finally given the knowledge to cultivate a direct conscious connection to the divine, no longer having to depend on an intermediary to connect them to God. And this is that discovery, those discoveries were actually the basis for the New Age, where we find ourselves now, trying to sort that all out. There's a quote in the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, doubting Thomas, who was one of Jesus' closest disciples. And it says, Jesus said, "He who seeks, let him not cease seeking until he finds. And when he finds, he will be troubled. And when he is troubled, he will be amazed, and he will reign over the all." So, it's the first step, actually, being troubled. We've spent the last several millennia in this descending stage of evolution, where spirit, which is us, through us, has descended more and more deeply into matter. But in doing so, it's lost its ability to perceive the spiritual realms. Ascension, or transcendence of the lower mind is what Jesus was referring to. The path of awakening from our unconscious ego state of habitual aversion, desire, and delusion, and realizing the truth of our divinity. So during our collective ascension, which is just beginning, that's the bad news and the good news, matter becomes spiritualized on this upswing of evolution. And it happens at all levels of nature. Plants, animals, people, Gaia, and even on the universal level of gods and angels. Everyone's going up together. And it happens when human heart and mind is not like a guaranteed automatic. We have to do it. We have to do the work. So how do past lives fit into this process? Obviously, the process of this magnitude does not happen in one human life. Every ancient tradition has understood about past lives. And even in Christianity, there are some statements that indicate that what you sow, so shall you reap. But it was taken out early on by the church fathers because they recognized that we weren't ready for it. Humanity was not prepared for this kind of information. But it's been a while. Here we are, and I think we're ready for all of it now. So I wanted to talk about what's the difference between reincarnation and rebirth. In Buddhism, the three knowledges that Shakyamuni acquired during his awakening process while sitting under the Bodhi tree were the knowledge of all his past lives and the past lives of all beings, the laws of karma, and freedom from all obstacles and attachments. We can aspire to add that to our intentions. But as unawakened, ordinary folks, life after life, we are subject to the three poisons of cyclic existence: ignorance of spiritual reality, attachment or greed, and aversion or hatred. Over many lifetimes, a lot of karmic damage is done by these poisons that we have to overcome. As we remain in this unconscious state, we take rebirth, cycling endlessly through the wheel of life, automatically being drawn to the nearest copulating couple with whom we resonate with or have past life connections to. Through the practice of meditation and doing good deeds, over time one acquires a far greater range of understanding and perspective. The more one becomes self-aware and transforms their karma of their previous painful experiences, the more they become able to choose their next life circumstances. So that's called reincarnation. The law of karma is based on the natural law of cause and effect and operates within the basic universal law of one, which states that everything is inseparably connected and nothing falls outside infinite wholeness. Nothing happens by chance, a word that indicates a lack of awareness of the principle of cause and effect. Nothing escapes this law in science or in nature. It's based on the intricate natural order of the universe, and it's what's behind the dynamic of evolution. What we do in life echoes in eternity. Every person thinks and does. Everything a person thinks and does has an impact on what follows. But out of ignorance, people tend to jump into decisions and situations without a full understanding of the possible consequences, and then that's how we accumulate karma. Everything in our lives is based on karma. Our parents, our life circumstances, our talents, our challenges, even our appearance. These traits are crystallized patterns of energy that develop over many lifetimes, and they influence how we think, feel, act, and react. As we come down from the spirit realms to the veil between worlds, we pick up not only the karma of our unhealed pain and unfinished business, but also the positive soul qualities that we have cultivated over time. So why don't we remember our past lives? As we're born into physical form, we drink the draught of forgetfulness, which causes spiritual amnesia of our previous lifetimes and allows us to stay focused on the task at hand. Neuroses, phobias, illnesses, pain, fears, energetic blockages, habitual tension patterns, along with talents, skills, personal preferences, personality traits, and innate abilities are all soul themes that bridge many lifetimes and have become part of the permanent personality. Unresolved past life experiences may come through as recurring thoughts, images, or dreams that seem out of alignment with our present existence. When we feel an automatic soul attraction or aversion to someone, it could be indication of a previous life experience that we had with them, possibly needing resolution. An instant sense of familiarity is a sure sign that you have a deep love bond with that person that you developed in some other life. Unhealed past life wounds are the cause of many relationship issues, especially in families, because they color our perception and cause us to unconsciously act out by projecting our pain onto others as the soul attempts to bring them into our awareness for processing. If we choose to lie, cheat, or steal, we will come back as victims of others' deception. If we're having a difficult life feeling victimized, it does not necessarily mean that we're being punished for being a perpetrator in some past life, but more likely that we need to reclaim our power and learn to use it to stand up for ourselves better. We're not punished for our mistakes. We learn from them. Typically, if someone believes they were a famous person in past life, it's because they are identifying with an archetype. The science of astrology is based on the archetypes of the planets and the signs of the zodiac. Each one of these is a pattern of transcendent cosmic laws or principles that shape and inform the entire cosmos, each with its own positive and negative qualities. Archetypes are much greater than humans and can be considered beneficial demigods or destructive archons, which are dark forces that work to enslave humanity, depending on how you want to look at or how your day is going. If one thinks they were a famous person, it's most likely there's an archetype who's demanding their attention. There's a danger of getting carried away in egoic fantasies, imagining oneself as very famous or important, because the ego inflation can draw the person away from the hard work at hand. We can't all be Mary Magdalene. Probably because of all the Piscean dreaminess and denial of the age that's ending, there's a lot of fantasy in the New Age movement, a lot of delusion and even deception. I mean, think about social media. Life is usually not that glamorous. Even for Buddha, even for Jesus, 40 days in the desert fighting demons, no thank you. In each lifetime, we gradually acquire greater virtues and moral understanding, more patience, compassion, honesty, generosity, and loving kindness. If we aspire to heal, evolve, and serve, we begin to express divine archetypes through our personal ego. But we're only allowed to advance to that level after a lot of lives, challenges, and tests to prove our ability to manage that kind of power unselfishly and free of harming others. I'm hoping these speculations lead to a different way of thinking about this life. We are distillations of great cosmic beings playing hide and seek from ourselves. I'm not an astrologer, but one thing I know for sure, that our spiritual bodies are made of stars, and we're eternally spiraling through an infinite universe in an act of divine lovemaking. When you think about the implications of that level of ultimate reality, there's really not a whole lot to stress about.